he would be as an adult. This is the fairly well-known 3 young men in the furnace. This is a rare one. This is the dividing of the clothes of Christ. You can see the scissors. Again, people tell us that they have not seen this before. This is in the garden, you see where it is. Again, it is taking down the cross. And the crucifixion. St. Paul. The martyrdom of St. Thomas. St. Thomas was skinned alive. So it's St. Thomas carrying. Oh. Yes. This is also a very interesting one. Judas is bringing the 30 silver shilling. He goes out and hangs himself. And you see the branch. The tradition is that it's the branch of compassion that bends and gives Judas a second chance, but he doesn't take it. This is, we don't know if this in this form exists anywhere. I think your wife mentioned this to me on stage. This is the miracles that you find. You can see that all this was covered over. We didn't know what there was. When we started to see these white figures coming out, it suddenly made the whole church brighter. We didn't realize it was so bright. St. Thomas. This is St. Paul again. Okay, some of these we need to do a little bit more work on to now try and get them a little clearer. This is an interesting one. It's not a very clear photograph, unfortunately, because of its angle. This is Peter denying Christ 3 times. So it's 3 times Peter and the cock, which again is an unusual depiction. Here is Pilate washing his hands. You can't really see that very well, I'm afraid. And here Caiaphas tearing his clothes. You could see they had to be up and on a St. Thomas again. I have some troubles. I'm getting the whole. This is St. John the Baptist in prison. Now, this was the state of the monastery before it started to fall down, before we came, it's better. And you can see it's all whitewashed everywhere. But you could see it was already fairly dilapidated. Now, the wood on the iconostasis was also in a fairly bad shape, and we were very lucky that we have a little foundation, little skeet in Estonia, and we have some friends there. One of the ladies is responsible for the restoration of icons and wood in the art museum of Tallinn, and they came with 4 people, and they restored all of this as a present for the monastery, which we were very, very pleased about. And you can see it needed a lot of cleaning and work on it. Some of it was just dirt, some. This is now we're beginning to get it ready. This is behind the altar. We found bones that we believe was the custom. The first abbot of the monastery is buried behind the altar. As you can see, we got on with it ourselves. And here we found the bones of the martyrs and the monks. Here we're washing them. We found there was a little chapel, the chapel of St. Demetrius. They were all just in a heap on the ground. And so we made here a reliquia for them, and this is what we have done inside. There are 9, so this was the little place we built for them. From outside, you can see it. Lipsula Patero, the relics of the fathers. And again, this is, you have a little light inside, and the people love coming to venerate. There are 90 skulls. And this is the opening of the church after its restoration. So we have our own bishop, and we have a bishop now who is in Estonia, who looks after our monastery, and Hieronymous and the various clergy from around. This was a huge moment for us and for the people of the village. There were quite a few tears shed when people first came in to see that. They couldn't believe what they saw. So going around. And you can see around, we've made it safe. We've given the possibility that we could continue, and we have the vine that was there. This is Father Athanasius, our spiritual father. And this was after the first liturgy. Just around about, just the sort of state that it was in all around. The problem had been that during the Civil War, the partisans took refuge in the monastery, and so the Greek army bombed it. Because the partisans had been making bread and things for all the people on the mountain, the Greek army decided they had to put a stop to it. What we say is, well, a building can be repaired. Thanks be to God, they didn't destroy the church. The frescoes, if they're lost, are lost forever. Whereas this can be. You can see that there's some work done it. This is where the abbot used to live. We hope that maybe that bit could be dealt with as well. So those of you who might have seen some of it, we just thought it was a bit hopeless at one stage. You can see it just got to the point where you think. This bit under here, they have told us, this part under here dates from the 9th century. So up here, this is, along here is to go to the chapel of St. Demetrius, where we found the store where we found the relics of the monks. This is the little chapel of St. Demetrius. And it was under the altar that we saw. And here we hope to, this is a corridor for the cells, and we hope to, the outside walls and the roof are now secure. The inside needs a bit of work still, let's say. So this is now the outside of the church. It's unbelievable, really, that it has come this far. People love to come and sit here now. Gives you a feeling of last couple of photographs. The evening we have put some lights around, and at night we like to come here, and it's very beautiful on a warm evening to sit up here. This is the last of our photos. I'd like to thank friends of Mount Arthur because you have helped us get to this stage, and this is a little thank you. If you would like any, maybe I don't know, you could copy some of these photographs and give them if you'd like them. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Sister. I must say I am filled with admiration. Yes. I haven't seen your monastery, I think, for 7 years. And then it was in that state of total dilapidation you described. And what you have done is just astonishing. And we do congratulate you. And we wish you well with even more reconstruction as you go on.
Thank you very much.
I wonder if you could, we have time for some questions, but can I start by asking if perhaps you could tell us a little bit? Yes, if you don't mind coming back to the microphone, people can hear me. I think people might like to hear a little bit about your community, which is a rather unusual one, I seem to remember, and something about the life, the religious life of the monastery. If you could perhaps tell us a bit about that, that would be very interesting.
Well, we have some similarities to the monastery in Essex, as we have sisters from 12 different countries, and it's actually across the globe. So we start with America, England, Germany, Austria, Estonia, Greece, Cyprus, Lebanon, Armenia, Russia, Japan, and Australia. So we've covered the range. We just need to fill in some details. Greek is our everyday language. Everybody has to learn Greek, and we encourage everybody to learn English as well. And we try and keep other languages going so that when we have visitors, we can speak to them in their own language. So, for example, our sister from Estonia also speaks Finnish, and our sister from Armenia also speaks Farsi. So we have a fair, sort of good cross-section of languages. We earn our living, as we all have to, by running a farm, ecological farm. We have cows and sheep and goats and rabbits and chickens, wild pigs, bees, sounds about it, alongside some ponies that we're keeping. There's a race of ponies that's dying out, and they asked us to keep them alive, so when they give birth we give the ponies to people as presents so that this race of pony doesn't die out. And we have a cheese kitchen. That is, we make different cheeses, and we live from that cheese. We're very fortunate that our feta cheese won the first prize in New York, and so we were able to send a ton of cheese. Unfortunately, Mr. Trump is wanting to block imports at the moment, so last year we weren't allowed to send any feta cheese to the States, but there is a company called something like the Essex Street Cheese Company, and they want to import our cheese. Our yellow cheese won the first prize in Berlin, so we're able to send cheese to Germany and to Austria, which means that this is how we live, and this is important. Everybody needs to live, we have to live one way or another. We, of course, have our own milk and products, things like that. We have a big vegetable garden, so we try and have all our own vegetables. We have fruit trees. So I'm reluctant to say we're autonomous, because today you need to buy things from outside, but largely we eat what we grow. And Sister Theophany, who is with me, she's the cook, so sometimes they bring huge buckets and things full of beetroot or all kinds of things, and she has to do things with them. So it's not just the question of growing them, it's also to process them and to put them in the sort of order that you need them. So we have that sort of running place. We also are able to do icon painting, wood carving, mosaics, gold stitching, so anything, generally speaking, Christian art, and also then writing or translation. It depends on the gifts of people, and also welcoming guests. The Greeks like to come to the monasteries, and they like to light their candles. We find that a lot of people are coming to the monasteries now. I think also people who've said, oh, my grandmother was Orthodox, and we've had a number of people coming back to Orthodoxy and a number of baptisms. And last week we had our first Estonian novice who, from our presence there, has come. So it's, again, I think it's very early days to say if that's going to work out. We're trying, and yes, again, like in Kisavos, if God wants it, it will work out, and if it's not God's will, it won't work out. And we have to be prepared to see if it's a situation where we should leave, that we have to have the courage to leave when it's right, if and when it's right. I hope it will work out, but we just don't know.
How many sisters are there?
5. So a small little community. We'll see. Sorry.
Sister Theotisti, thank you so much. It's wonderful to be reminded of this inspirational community and of the spiritual value of hard work. I mean, I'm sure there was a lot of physical labour involved in that, and I'm sure your sisters played a part in that, not apart from the men you showed us. It seems to me you were using drones. I'm sure they enjoyed that too, did they not?
Well, it wasn't our drone, it was somebody who came and said, we have this, should we take some photographs? We said, oh, well, please do, because...
And 1,000 sheep also need a lot of material labour. Do the sisters do this?
We don't have 1,000 sheep, they did have. We have a very small farm in comparison. Enough work for us. The sisters work very hard, I have to say. It only works out because we have very good organisation. That it's clear work times, clear prayer times, and clear rest times. If you don't rest, you can't do it. You have to. And I think the organisation is one of the most crucial things of it. I mean, there are times when the sisters falling into bed. I think that summertime is very busy because also in the garden. Wintertime is, and it's very good because living with nature, you're living with the rhythm of nature. So summer is long days and a lot of work, and winter is shorter days and a different program. Yes, I have to say, when I first went to the monastery, the only things I'd done with my hands were sort of writing or playing the violin or something. And I learned, my first job was to learn to cut glass, and then to learn to fix locks. And now I can even make cement. So, you know, one of the things I say to our guests that come is, women can do everything if they want. But I think if they want is the most important bit of that. We can't necessarily carry heavy things. But I think if women want to, they can do it. Sorry about that. Is there any?
Time for one more question, please. Well, Terry used the word inspirational, and I think that's a good word to use of everything that happens at your monastery. I think it's been inspiring for all of us to listen to what you are telling us. And I think we do thank you already for coming all this way to tell us about it. I do recommend this monastery as a place to visit. And I hope that as many as possible, not all at once, will indeed of us come to your hospitable door. But thank you very much for coming and telling us about your wonderful monastery.
Thank you.